You are watching Raptors Today. They gave me the keys to the car. I'm Savanna Hamilton alongside Paul Jones and Sherman Hamilton. It is a pleasure to be alongside you guys this season.
Good to have you, Savanna.
Oh, Savanna, going to be great.
I appreciate that a lot. Let's get to it. Paul Watson, he signed a multi-year deal with the Raptors this Sunday. He was drafted originally by the Westchester Knicks, in the G League draft. Fun fact for you guys, he's also had a 10-day contract this past season with the Atlanta Hawks. Now he's acquired, from Westchester. Sorry, he signed a two-way contract back in January 15th. Sherm, I'm going to ask you first. What have you seen from Paul Watson on the court in these small sample sizes from the 905 to the preseason?
Well, number one, I like his length as a potential good defender, as a rebounder, and also a guy offensively who can make shots. And he fits the form, I think, of what the Raptors typically want in a developmental player. He's got length, he's got athletic ability, and he works hard. And that's something that Paul Watson is going to have a real opportunity to benefit from. He's seen the groundwork for success coming from the G League from multiple players on this roster. So I'm sure he's excited about this opportunity. And, when you ink that deal, you get a bit more confidence. You get that understanding of that you belong. And I think Paul Watson's going to work hard to really prove his worth and try to get some real quality minutes on the big squad.
Now, Jonesy, how great is it to see this development continue from the 905 to all the way up to the Raptors?
Well, I mean, the great thing is the whole developmental continuum that the Raptors have developed. And you look at Paul Watson, he's not the first. There's been a long line of them when you talk about Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, even guys that have come and gone, DeLon Wright, some of these guys. The Raptors have done a really good job of finding guys that fit, getting them on the developmental track, and then having them work their way up to the big team. When you talk about, the way that guys transition from 905 to the big team, you hear Paul Watson say, I've been working with the coaches, and whatever we're running with the big team, we're running at 905. So there's less of it's the same terminology, same language. There's less of an adjustment when guys get on that shuttle. Chris Boucher is another one. There are so many guys that have developed in 905. They experience a success, learn the system there, and then it translates to the big club.
And Jonesy, you touched on it right there, and sure, I'm going to give this to you. What exact similarities do you see in the coaching style and the playing style that are equivalent to both squads?
Well, number one, let's not forget, Jama was a part of the coaching staff that was with Dwayne Casey, with Nick Nurse. So he understands everything that these guys want in terms of consistency. And one thing is for sure is they're going to emphasize the defensive side of the basketball. All the principles on that side of the basketball is going to be consistent. And then Jama, like Nick Nurse, is a guy who allows players to express themselves offensively. You work within the framework, but you have opportunities, and that's something that Nick Nurse has done a great job of really messaging to his players. And I also think that there's an understanding of the whole concept of if you work hard and you do the right things, you are going to be given an opportunity. That's something that really dangles a carrot in front of guys, and it really makes them stay consistent even when they're not getting the minutes they want. I think all those elements combined, you translate from the 905 right to the Toronto Raptors, and you have that uniform messaging that happens consistently through both franchises.
And Jonesy, what are the gaps that Paul Watson will need to, either improve on or fill in order to hang with the Raptors squad now?
Well, I think, first of all, it's just playing time. I mean, you look at his journey and where he's come from, and a guy like Jama, who's a developmental coach, I mean, he was the, quote, workout guy for a long time in the developmental phase, has seen something in him. He's been in the ear of Nick Nurse. He's been in the ear of the front office. This kid's had a shot to prove himself. So the first thing is playing time. If he's able to get playing time, and there's an old adage that says, if you want to be good at big things, be diligent in the pursuit of little things. So Watson's worked hard at 905. He's going to come up to the big team. If he gets minutes, it'll be a limited number. It might be 8, 10, 12 because of foul trouble or an injury or just spot duty. Those are the things where I think he has to take advantage. Those are the times when he has to shine and just go in there and not hurt the team and earn the trust of the coach. So, and then just keep working at your game, Savanna. work at the shooting, understand the defensive concepts, the defensive schemes, where you're supposed to be and when. Pay attention on the bench, talk to the vets, talk to the assistant coaches. And then all of that, if you don't get a chance to do it with the big club, when you get a chance to go back down to 905, put it into play.
Coming from a legend himself, Jonesy, we got to listen to Paul Watson. He spoke to the media this past Sunday following his newly signed deal. Let's check it out.
It was actually right after the last preseason game. We had meetings, and I went into the office, and it wasn't very long, but I just got in, talked with them, got the news, and came out, and then after that, it was just, it was kind of like a sigh of relief. You know what I mean? You kind of go out there and you're fighting for your life each game, and everybody's trying to get that spot, and it's great competition. But just being able to go in there and get that news, it was a sigh of relief, and I got to call my family, and that was great, and be able to see their reaction. So it was a good moment. For me, it was always staying dedicated to the grind, and trusting that my work and my faith in God and that everything would fall into place. All I had to do was continue to work, trust myself, and trust that it would pay off, and it did.
Thinking back to, I guess not this time last year, but last offseason when you first kind of connected with Jama, with the G League Elite team, did you guys, I know you guys shared a moment, and I got to be there for it when you signed your two-way. Did you guys get the kind of talk as this was happening this week with Jama now back with the Raptors?
I did. I saw him yesterday, actually, just passing by through the hotel, and he gave me a hug, and he was like, this is what we work for. It started off in Uruguay, with the G League Elite team, and it was a long road to get here, but he's really happy for me, and I owe him a lot. Like he really helped me out, and he really helped me get to this point and helped my game a lot. So I'm really grateful for that. I would just say, being with the 905, he did a great job of preparing, not only myself, but guys down there, who get the opportunity to be up here. He prepared us very well. We ran everything that we run here, to a T down there. So it's not really any surprises when you get up here, maybe a few wrinkles here and there, but, outside of that, you pretty much understand the system once you get up here, and then it's just on you, whether or not you follow through to the game plan and things like that. I would say it's just our culture. It's very culture oriented, group, and first thing, guys come in, and we have a great coaching staff, who's gonna get you, ready for whatever. It's a great group of guys, and it helps, when they come in and they buy into what coach is trying to say and get done, and being able to buy into one to get better and learn, the game and learn the system. So I would definitely say that's the biggest thing. Definitely. I feel like there was great communication, between coaches and, organizations. And, Jama, he did a great job of relaying that message to us, whatever they're doing up here. He made sure that we got it done down there. And I feel it was the same thing, with my group of guys last year in the 905. We were a tough, hard-nosed team, and, we were going to fight you every possession until that final buzzer. So I definitely think that's what separates us.
Now, Coach Jama Mahlalela has been brought back up to the Raptors as an assistant coach. Now, as you can see on this board, he actually spent a lot of time with the Raptors in various teaching roles. Assistant coach 2013-2014, head coach of the 905 2018-19, and rejoined us now as of December 4th at the Raptors. Jonesy, what does it say about Jama when he adds to the Raptors team, especially when both teams are so focused on player development?
Well, it speaks to his versatility, Savannah, first as a teacher, as a developmental coach, and then as a strategist, the fact that he's back up with the big team. I like the fact that, to me, it's kind of like that teacher in the fourth grade that knows what's going to happen in the sixth grade. And they start teaching you adding with regrouping, and they start teaching you long division. And the kid has no idea how that long division is going to factor in, when you start doing other stuff, word problems and all these other things. But that's Jama. He's setting kind of the basis, the framework for guys to have a structure to improve. And I think it's great that like I said, he's like that teacher that knows what's ahead, and he's also taught what's ahead. So he's there with the 905, helps these guys develop, instills some discipline, some skills in them, and then joins the bench again with the big team. And these guys have a comfort level with him, and they understand everything that he's given them before that.
Now, you mentioned it, Jonesy, but I was never good at math, however. Just want to put that out there. But Sherm, now when it comes to developing these new guys on the Raptors, I think he's going to do a really great job with developing Watson, Malachi, and Boucher. What do you think, Sherm?
Well, first of all, I have a lot of respect and admiration for Jama. He's a great individual. He's a great basketball mind. I had the pleasure of working with him for the Canadian national team when I was assistant coach for the cadet team in 2005, and he was the equipment manager. So Jama's been a guy who's been very consistent with his dedication to his craft. He's constantly gotten better. He's taken advantage of opportunities to continue to build his career. He's gone across the world to try and really beef up the resume, and he comes back to the Raptors organization, and he's done a very, very good job. He's high energy. He's a guy who believes in what he's saying. That translates in terms of how he teaches. And I think the guys that are coming up from the 905 that are going to be able to work with Jama have already experienced that energy and passion he has, and the ability to convey information in a understandable, bite-sized way that guys can really learn and take and implement right away. It's a huge thing to be able to know the game. It's another thing to be able to teach the game. And Jama can can teach that game, very, very well. So I look forward to what he's going to do. And these young players are really going to benefit from Jama's experience.
Now, Jama spoke to the media for the first time since being called back up to being assistant coach. Let's take a listen.
I mean, it's really nice to see a journey like his, right, Blake? I think a player like him who played in the G League for 2 seasons without really much fanfare or much recognition, and then his career shifted that little bit. And all the credit goes to him. You know, I got to coach him in Uruguay on this G League select team and really liked him and decided, hey, let's try and get him in our 905 system. And he just really started to excel once he came to us. And then I think for me, the best part of the story was he got his 10-day. And that was sort of his first taste of, wow, the NBA is possible for me. And he did his 10-day in Atlanta. And then he came to us on a 2-way. And to see this next step and to see him join our roster sort of officially is just a great step in his career. And I think it shows that it's possible. And I think the NBA is such an incredible league that you need those stories where people can say it is possible to do it, you know, if you weren't sort of touted from the age you were 12 years old or something like that. For me, it's more the player, right? I mean, they're the ones that get the contract. They're the ones that get the credit. He did the work. For me as a coach, it's great. It's sort of a reward in general as a coach to see someone succeed. That's why we coach in many ways, right? To allow people to be successful and to help them on in their careers and their lives. And Paul's just this wonderful example of that for me personally. But I think all coaches, we want the players to do well. And for Paul to sort of reach this level, and listen, there's a lot more to come. I told him as well, I gave him a hug and said, congratulations. But I said, you know, now we got to get better now. We can't just stay in the same place. And so he's on that trajectory moving forward, and just happy for him most of all. Well, I mean, I think like a good example is in the bubble, you know, and Paul was in the bubble with the team, and he's getting a lot of coaching and sort of a lot of play. And in those seeding games, you know, the early games, he got some good minutes in some of them. And talking to him after, he said to me, I fit in, coach. And that's important, right? He knows he's an NBA player. Right, he knows he fits in at this level. And so now the challenge is to do it more and to sort of work his way through it. But yeah, building time with the 905 and the same terminology and the same system has helped him to get where he is now. I think that for me, the experience was life-changing in my development as a coach. Being an assistant coach is one thing, and I in tremendous career and enjoyed it and was, you know, developing and helping players get better. But it truly is a fundamentally different job to be a head coach. And the 2 years I spent doing it, you know, I'll always take amazing lessons of how to actually really coach the game, and how to work with your players and how to find a way to get wins. And I think for me, I can support Coach Nurse now differently than I could have before because I have head coaching experience. So I know what that seat looks like. And it allows me to find ways to work the entire team, to see the bigger picture. And it's just sort of honed my craft. So I'm just really thankful for the chance I had to do it. And now to be able to bring that information back to the big team, you know, and help the success of our group here.
Jonesy, Sherman, thank you so much. We'll catch up with you after we go to RTX. And now we're joined by Seerat Sohi, NBA reporter at Yahoo Sports. Seerat, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good. And of course, Esfandiar Baraheni, aka S, content creator for the NBA at The Score. S, how's it going?
Good. Hope you guys are good.
Yeah, I'm good, honestly. Now, Sportsnet tweeted out a story by one of my favorite personal writers, Michael Grange, about OG's extension deadline that, oh, who wouldn't you know, is today. Seerat, I'm going to go to you first for this, but should the Raptors try to sign OG's extension now or wait until he is a free agent in the summer?
I think they need to do everything in their power to get this done right now, honestly. This is probably not something that was on their radar, given the fact that they were pretty clearly trying to keep their space open for Giannis in 2021. That obviously is not going to happen anymore. So if you look at OG, like I think he's primed to have a great year. He had a great performance in the bubble. And if you lock him up now, I think you're going to lock him up when he's still at lower value than he will be by the end of the year. And the other thing is he's a restricted free agent. And the Raptors are a high-level organization, which also means that there might be a few more teams at their throat trying to, force them to have to overpay for OG. Like usually that's what happens in restricted free agency. I would try to get this done right away.
And to kind of jump onto what Seerat's saying, which is a really good point. Next year, with all the free agents being gone, there's a lot of money out there for teams to throw out players like OG Anunoby. And with the talent, the potential that he has, it's kind of the sky's the limit. Let's say a team like the New York Knicks that has a boatload of money, they'll be willing to throw a crazy offer at him. And the Raptors will either have no choice but to match it or have to let him walk. And I don't think the organization wants to be able to do that. So I think you're right. I think it has to happen as soon as possible. The deadline is in an hour and 45-ish minutes, but we'll see if that actually goes down. I don't know. It's coming down to the wire. I hope it happens, but I'm kind of skeptical because OG is going to be asking for a lot of money this summer.
Yeah, no, I agree. I do think that we're all placing our bets in the same pool. Bet on OG for this one because he's going to be a very valuable player come the summertime. I'm also expecting personally a lot of big things from him this upcoming season. Now, an impeccable source, quote, quote, said that the Celtics and the Raptors are going to be favorites for James Harden. Now, it's just a rumor, a rumor. However, how can you see, I'm going to go to you first. How can you see the beard fitting in with this team?
I mean, Seerat will know this is because they have an impeccable source. Like they have to brag about the type of source they have. It's a pretty good chance that this source is either completely misleading or it's not a source at all. So I mean, that's you have to take it with like a boulder of salt, this source. So I don't know what you would really say to that. But regardless, if there is some validity to it, if the Raptors are inquiring on James Harden, I would personally do it. I think it is one of those situations where you can win now. You have a team, a roster around them that could win an NBA championship and be a title contender. It makes the most sense in the world.
But I do have questions if it is Siakam that would be in the deal, because then what else are you going to be pairing with James Harden? You have 2 years then, maybe 3. So then you have to think, okay, like, are the rest of the guys here, are they enough to win a championship if you have to put Siakam in the deal? Which I personally actually question if he is, been offered up, as we've heard he has, because he hasn't been traded to Houston yet. And that's the same reason I'm skeptical about Ben Simmons as well. If either of those players were on the board and I'm Houston, I think, I'm jumping at it. So I wonder how deep the talks have gotten, really. And that's another sourcing situation where, back to what you were saying, when it came out that Simmons was offered, Daryl Morey immediately walked that back and said, no, he wasn't. Of course, the Raptors haven't done that. That's not really exactly what the Raptors do. But again, like you said, grain of salt in terms of what exactly the offers are for Harden right now.
Boulder. You're right. Boulder of salt. We shall see what happens there. I'm looking forward to seeing what transpires potentially. Moving on, feel-good story of the day to close out RTX. Norman Powell recently gave $100,000 to 200 families for a shopping spree in his hometown, San Diego. Now, real quick, who would you give your Raptors humanitarian award to if it was anybody this past year?
Yeah, I think there's a good amount of Raptors that you could give that award to, whether it's Marc Gasol, former Toronto Raptor Marc Gasol, that was going off and saving people in the, I forgot what he was exactly doing, but he was on a boat somewhere saving people, and that's an incredible story in itself. But I think in terms of community award, I would probably have to give it to Kyle Lowry. He does the Thanksgiving drive every single year without a hiccup. He's done things for Christmas and for the Children's Hospital, which has been incredible as well. So I'd probably give it to Kyle. It seems like an easy answer. You got to give it to the guy, man. That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, Seerat.
I hate to even rank or want these guys to compete for it, right? Because it is like there's a lot of amazing guys on this team. A lot of them is like Fred VanVleet, and like the way that he gives back to the Rockford community and like never really forgets where he came from. Pascal Siakam going back to Cameroon and being like on the Giants of Africa crew as well. Like there's a lot of guys that I think do a lot for their communities. That said, I do think it does have to go to Kyle for the reasons that you said. But again, I that's just like by a hair, you know.
It's tough to rank. It's tough to be able to rank who's the best. But yeah.
Thank you guys so much for being here. My personal choice is Fred VanVleet, just because of how outspoken he was in the bubble with all the social justice going around. Now, thank you guys so much for joining us. I hope to see you guys back here soon. We do have to go from RTX. We'll be right back with Paulie Jones and Sherman Hamilton. However, the Raptors tip off on Wednesday versus the Pelicans. Their away from home opener at the Amelia Arena. The game goes on at 7:30 p.m. on TSN. You can catch Paul Jones and Sherm on the radio call. Pregame is on NBA TV Canada and TSN. See you guys there. Now, unfortunately, this is the end. We've got 90 seconds left in the show here. I want to ask you guys a question because you guys travel along with the team. Does it feel like a shortened off season than normal for you guys? Let's start with you, Sherm.
Yeah, because I didn't get a lot of golf in this summer. So absolutely, it was a shortened off season. But for real, it did feel a bit weird, a bit awkward. It was very, very different jumping back into it this year. But, we're in a time of change and a time of adapting and trying to figure things out. So like the players, like the world in general, you have to just consistently roll with what's happening and do the best you can and understand that you're going to have to be able to swallow some things and move forward. But it was a bit different, but that's okay. We get to cover basketball for a living, so no complaints here.
Jonesy, now, aside from, I know you golf as well. So aside from a shortened golf off season, do you miss traveling with the team this season?
Well, yeah, as Sherm said, since March 8th, that night in Utah, nothing's been normal. It has been totally different all the way through. My timetable was messed up because the season ended and it should have been golf time. Instead, it was snowing outside. So it was a quick turnaround. And Savanna, what I'll miss is not necessarily all the up and down on the travel because it's difficult, but the camaraderie with Sherm and the rest of the broadcast guys, and then developing the relationships with the players and the coaching staff and, the training staff and people that you travel with to, that family atmosphere. It's different. And, at times we're doing it like we are now from home, instead of being at the gym, the three of us being able to do the show. So as Sherm says, it's just the way it is and you get used to it and we roll with it moving forward.
I can only imagine how weird it was, but thank you so much, guys, for letting me host with you this season. I'm really looking forward to it. And we will be back tomorrow with another episode of Raptors Today.